You are listening to Revenge Rain. Enjoy the story. My father once told people that I died in a foreign land, that I no longer existed in this world. But when I returned with pockets full of money, he suddenly called me the treasure of his life, the light he couldn't live without. But when the money ran out, he didn't hesitate to swing a baseball bat at my head, trying to end it all. However, before the bat could touch me, he was the one who collapsed on the cold floor, screaming in agony. Only then did I remember. I never told him that I possess a special system. A system where all pain inflicted on me is transferred directly to the person causing it. And it exists solely to deal with people like him. Just after graduating college, I packed everything, preparing to return to my hometown in rural Texas. Not for a vacation, but to collect an old debt. My roommate, Mia, drove me to the train station in her Porsche. She joked, half serious, "Sarah, are you sure you don't need protection? I can hire 3 bodyguards for you." I smiled, adjusting my sunglasses. "I'm not poor anymore, Mia, and no one is brave enough to bully me now. Wait until I get what my mother left me. I'll come back." I glanced at my phone. The train was leaving. "Mia, don't worry. I'll call you when I get there." She looked at me like a lost puppy. I hugged her one last time. "Remember the system you gave me? Trust me." 3 days later, the train arrived at a dusty station. Skyscrapers were replaced by barren fields and old pickup trucks. I hopped on a rusty bus heading towards my hometown. 4 years ago, I was an 18-year-old girl forced into a wedding dress that was 2 sizes too big. I was sold to a 50-year-old man named Jenkins, a widower who just buried his wife. My father and stepmother pushed me into the bridal car, smiling like saints, while handing me over to a man old enough to be my grandfather. Hypocrites. Why didn't they marry off their own daughter? Oh, right, they didn't have one. I was the only scapegoat. On the wedding night, I got Jenkins drunk. While he was passed out, I smashed a vase over his head, grabbed my college acceptance letter, and ran for my life. Now I am back. Not just to reclaim my mother's last gift, a jade bracelet, but to settle the blood debt. 2 people who pushed my mother to suicide so they could be together. I will not let them rest. System. Host Sarah. Are you decided? If you switch modes, you cannot revert. I looked at my red manicured nails. Do it. The current compensation mode is useless. My dad and stepmom are broke. Draining their wallets won't hurt enough. System. Upgrading to double punishment mode. From now on, any pain intended for the host will be reflected onto the designated target with double the intensity. If it exceeds the physical limit, the system will drain their lifespan, health, or luck. Duration: 3 years. Irreversible. System. But what if we don't meet the KPI? I smirked. KPI for face slapping? Don't worry. Knowing my dad, I'll help you break records. The bus stopped at the entrance of the town. A group of tricycle drivers were smoking and gambling in the shade. One of them looked up, recognized me, and dropped his cigarette. Holy sh*! Isn't that Sarah? The one Richard sold? She's not dead? Another guy looked me up and down with disgusting eyes. She grew up nice. Look at those legs. The first guy laughed. Don't dream. Jenkins paid $20,000 for her. Heard she kicked his balls and ran. Richard had to pay back $30,000. She's got guts coming back here. Jenkins won't let her go. The system recorded every word. I ignored them. Walking to the last tricycle. Take me to the big supermarket south of Richard's house. When we arrived, I pulled out a crisp $100 bill. Keep the change. The driver saw the stack of cash in my purse. He froze. I smiled. Thanks for waiting for me, Uncle. Buy yourself some cigarettes. This driver was Jenkins's distant cousin. I wanted him to see my money. I wanted the news to spread. I walked to my old house. It wasn't poor. A 2-story brick house with a big yard. My dad and stepmother, Linda, were eating lunch on the porch. Their son, Kevin, my half-brother, was playing on an iPad. I whispered to the system, "Set damage reflection target, Kevin." System, target confirmed. 3 successful reflections needed to upgrade. I walked onto the porch. "Is there any rice left? I need a bowl." My dad stopped chewing. He stared at me, fork suspended in midair. "Who are you?" I frowned. "I am Sarah, your daughter. 4 years, and you forgot my face?" I glanced at Linda's wrist. There it was, my mother's jade bracelet. My dad snapped out of it. He slammed his chopsticks down. "You ungrateful brat! You dare to come back? Do you know how much money I lost because of you?" I smiled, my voice venomous. "I am a brat? Then what are you? A pimp?" I looked at Kevin. "Is he the extra product?" Dad stood up, furious. He raised his hand to slap me. Slap! But his hand never touched my face. 2 meters away, Kevin, the golden child, suddenly flew backward as if hit by a truck. He landed on the grass, screaming, blood gushing from his mouth. "Mommy, it hurts! A ghost hit me!" System, reflection, KPI, 1-3, complete. I pretended to hold my cheek. Ouch! That hurt. Linda dropped her bowl and ran to her son. "Kevin! Oh my God, what happened?" She turned to me, screaming, "Richard, call Jenkins. This girl is already married. Why is she here? Make him come pay the debt. She is possessed." I sneered. "Hey, lady, you are mistaken. This house belongs to me. My mom built it. You are just the mistress who moved in. Don't act like the owner." Linda's face turned red. "This is my house. I am your mother." I crossed my arms. "My mother is dead. You guys drove her to suicide. Want to join her?" My voice was light, but cold as the grave. Dad raised his hand again. I pulled out a stack of cash, $10,000, and threw it on the table. "I made some money in the city. Thought you were still my dad, so I came to visit. If I'm not welcome, I'll leave." The money scattered everywhere. Dad froze. His eyes locked onto the cash like a starving wolf. I spoke before he could. "I plan to stay for a few days. Business is good. I saved about $200,000. If I'm a burden, I'll go." Linda almost flipped the table. "You seduced a rich man? Listen, unless you give us $50,000 for dowry, don't dream of marrying. You cost us $30,000. I looked at her calmly. "How I make money is none of your business." Dad, being the greedy fox he is, immediately changed his tune. He smiled, a fake, oily smile. "Sarah, my daughter, this is your home. Who dares to kick you out?" He kicked Linda under the table. Linda forced a smile. "I was just joking. Sarah, Mom missed you. Kevin asks about you every day." Lies. I remember when I was 12, I was starving. I took a sip of Kevin's milk that he was about to throw away. Linda slapped me so hard my ear rang for days. She screamed, "You are born low class, stealing leftovers." I walked up to her. "You don't have your own kids? Or did they die? So you have to claim others. Please be decent. Don't force yourself to be a mother to someone who doesn't need you." Linda turned purple. "Kevin, the brat," shouted. "Dad, you said she was a jinx. Why is she back? Give her to Jenkins." Dad kicked Kevin. "Shut up! Call her sister. She is the golden goose of this family now." Kevin wailed. Dad slapped him on the back of the head. Linda dragged him inside. Dad turned to me, grinning. "Sarah, tired from the trip? Let me carry your bag." I walked upstairs. My room was a dump, smelled like mold and old socks. I frowned. Is this a room or a pigsty? Dad scratched his head. Sleep in my room? We can sleep on the couch. No, I only sleep in my room. He yelled downstairs. Linda! Who told you to put junk in Sarah's room? Clean it up, now! While the two old hypocrites were cleaning, I sat on the chair, scrolling on my phone. Outside, a voice yelled, Jenkins is here. I looked through the window. It was him, Old Man Jenkins, the man I kicked in the balls. He looked worse than before, fat, balding, walking like a duck. He walked into the yard. Richard, where is she? I heard she's back. Kevin, the idiot, shouted. You don't know. She came back and caused a mess. Before Jenkins could finish, Dad walked down, holding a broom. Get out. I paid you back. Why are you here? Jenkins sneered. She is my wife. We did the ceremony. I'm here to visit. Dad spat on the ground. Get out. My daughter has nothing to do with you. I walked out to the balcony, adding fuel to the fire. Wow, Uncle Jenkins, so brave. Forgot the $30,000 refund already? His face darkened. Sarah, stop messing around. Come home with me. I can return the money. His eyes were disgusting, undressing me. I laughed. Dad said it's over. Sorry. Then, chaos erupted. Dad and Jenkins started fighting. Linda screamed. Neighbors gathered to watch the free show. In the end, Dad lost a tooth. Jenkins was beaten to a pulp. Dad spat blood. If you report me, try it. I sat on the balcony, eating ice cream. Dad looked up at me, trying to act noble. Come inside. No one touches my daughter. Your mom died early. I have to protect your honor. Disgusting. He only protected his $200,000 potential ATM. I texted Kevin. Give me Jenkins's number. He refused. I gave him $50. He sent it immediately. Don't tell Dad. I added Jenkins on WhatsApp. Uncle Jenkins, I'm sorry about today. Dad was angry. I sent you $200 for medical bills. I'm grown now. I can't disobey my parents. Our fate ends here. I said a delayed transfer, then blocked him. That night, the atmosphere was weird. Dad was too happy. Linda cooked chicken for me. Dad rubbed his hands. Sarah, how much money do you have exactly? I smirked. Ex-boyfriend gave me a breakup fee. Dad gasped. My poor daughter. By the way, I want to buy a new car. Can you lend me some? System warning. He won't pay back. I smiled. Sure, but my card is frozen. I need a friend to transfer it. Can you write an IOU? Linda panicked. Look at the rain. Bring the clothes in. It was sunny. I grabbed my bag. Dad, buy the car in your name. It's easier. I opened my laptop, pretending to call Mia. Mia. Dad needs a car. Can you transfer money? My card is locked. Mia. On speaker. I know. I prepared 2 credit cards. $100,000 limit each. Check your bag. I saw Dad and Linda swallowing hard. System. 1 more strike to upgrade. I asked Mia, what's the PIN for the black cards? Before I could finish, Dad tackled me. Linda snatched my phone. Mia. Sarah? Hello? Beep. Linda hung up. She held the 2 black cards, shaking with excitement. Dad roared, get the rope. Tie her up. Before she cancels them. Linda grabbed a thick rope, tying my wrists tight. It burned. I groaned. It hurts. Let me go. Suddenly, in the corner, Kevin screamed. My hands, they are burning. Ah! System, KPI complete. Upgrading to multi-target punishment mode. Linda ignored her son, pushing me onto the sofa. Dad called his friends who knew how to cash out credit cards. He checked my birthday for the PIN. They hugged each other, laughing like maniacs. Tomorrow, we get the BMW. Linda tied me up and threw me onto the couch, ignoring her son rolling on the floor in agony. Dad glared at Kevin. Stop crying. You play video games all day. That's why your hands hurt. He immediately called his shady contacts to cash out the credit cards. He checked my ID for my birthday to guess the PIN. When he confirmed there was a $200,000 limit on each card, I lied about the million. 400K total was enough to hang them. He and Linda hugged each other, laughing like they won the Powerball. Tomorrow, we get the BMW M3. We need to swipe fast before she cancels them. Linda was still worried. Will it work? What if she reports it stolen? Dad rolled his eyes. Stupid woman. I'll handle it. Then he looked at me with a sinister glint. That girl, she looks good now. Keeping her here is a waste. Selling her might be a good idea. Linda frowned. If you sell her, who pays the credit card bill? The cards are in her name. Dad ignored her, dreaming about his new car. Linda took her anger out on me, slapping my face repeatedly. You little witch? Making me clean your room? Who do you think you are? Slap, slap. But as she hit me, a scream echoed from the corner. It was Kevin. He was clutching his face, his mouth bleeding. His cheeks were swelling up visibly. System, damage reflection, successful. Target, Kevin. Linda froze. She looked at my face, smooth, white, untouched. Then she looked at her son, whose face looked like he went 12 rounds with Mike Tyson. Seeing her suspicion, I smiled faintly. Linda, you are standing in the house my mother built. You are bullying her daughter. Do you think her spirit will let you get away with it? Linda jumped back as if electrocuted. Shut up! She's dead! I don't believe in ghosts. I didn't argue. I didn't need ghosts. I had a system. That night, they locked me in the old storage shed in the backyard. No food, no water. The padlock clicked shut. But I didn't feel hungry, because I had switched the hunger transfer to Kevin. From inside the shed, I could hear Kevin screaming, Mom, I'm hungry. I want pizza, fried chicken, lobster. System notification, target. Kevin has just consumed 3 family-sized buckets of KFC. The chickens in the yard are fleeing in terror. I chuckled. I was the one starving, but the hunger pangs were torturing the innocent child. No matter how much he ate, he would never feel full. System, face-slapping KPI exceeded. Reward, beauty pill, plus 10 charisma. I pocketed the pill. I'd give it to Mia later. The next morning, the happy couple went to the BMW dealership. They put down a huge down payment for a BMW 3 Series, $60,000 non-refundable. When they came back, Linda threw a stale bun at me through the window. Eat. Don't die yet. I didn't touch it. The hunger wasn't mine anyway. That night, Linda turned pale. She watched her son shoving food into his mouth until he vomited, then eating his own vomit because he was so hungry. Mom, I'm starving, Linda screamed. Stop eating! You'll burst your stomach! Dad squinted at me through the shed window. Is she really possessed by her mom? Linda trembled. It's her. Sell her to Jenkins. Get another $50,000. They decided to keep me locked up a bit longer. That night, I switched the pain transfer target to Linda. I asked the system, if I hurt myself, does it count? System, yes. Self-inflicted pain is doubled on the target. I smirked. The next morning, Linda stumbled out of the bedroom clutching her stomach. Her face was gray. Richard, my stomach. It hurts like hell. I need a doctor, Dad yelled. Doctor? You just want to waste money. It's probably gas. From the shed, I called out weakly. Dad, I learned my lesson. I'm hungry. Please let me out. If I die, those credit cards become useless plastic. Greed won. Dad opened the door. He glared at me. Don't try any tricks. I acted submissive. Can I have my phone? My friend might call. If I don't answer, she might call the police. Linda reluctantly shoved my phone into my hand. If you call the cops, I'll kill you before they get here. I faked a smile. Dad controls the money now. Why would I call the cops? They relaxed. Linda demanded to go to the mall to relieve stress. I volunteered to go with them. We walked into the high-end mall. Linda went crazy. Chanel bags? Bought. New iPhone? Bought. We went into a jewelry store. The gold and diamonds blinded her. I whispered in her ear, "Auntie Linda, you've been married to Dad for so long, yet you don't have any decent jewelry. It's unfair. Let me buy you a gold bracelet, as a peace offering." Linda grinned, forgetting all her hatred. The sales clerk asked, "Ma'am, what about this jade bracelet on your wrist? Should I polish it?" Linda looked at my mother's bracelet. "Does this look good?" The clerk hesitated. "It looks antique. Sentimental value, perhaps." Linda scoffed. "So it's trash. I thought it was a treasure. Turns out it's dead people's junk." I stayed silent, simply reaching out. "I'll take it off for you, Auntie. You try the gold one." I slipped the jade bracelet off her wrist and into my pocket. Item retrieved. Linda picked a chunky gold bracelet weighing 40 grams. Price? $4,000. She gasped at the price. But Dad, feeling rich with my credit cards, waved his hand. "Swipe it." Linda felt like a queen. She even bought a $3,000 VIP package at a spa. I followed them, carrying their bags, smiling. I quietly texted Mia, "Phase 1 complete. Proceed to Phase 2. For the next week, whenever they went out to spend money, they locked me in the shed again. Kevin was my guard. The fat kid sat outside playing on his iPad. I leaned against the door. "Kevin, playing games is boring. Watching live streams is better." He glanced at me. "Dad said not to listen to you," I whispered. "The streamers are cool. If you send them a rocket gift, they shout your name." "Big boss Kevin!" Imagine that. He was intrigued. "But I have no money." "Use Dad's iPad. His Apple Pay is linked to the credit card. He won't notice." In 3 days, Kevin spent $20,000 on Twitch streamers. He became the #1 donor in several chat rooms. System: financial damage accumulating. I looked at the jade bracelet in my pocket. The only thing of value in this house was now mine. Meanwhile, Dad and Linda were living like kings. They spent over $150,000 in 2 weeks. They thought the well would never run dry, but the crash was coming. One afternoon, I was hand-washing clothes in the yard, part of my punishment. Dad was sitting on the porch, smoking a Cuban cigar. Linda was out gambling with neighbors. Dad's phone rang. It was the bank. "Mr. Sterling? Your payment is overdue." Dad jumped up. "Overdue? It's my daughter's card. Call her." That evening, just as the sun set, a group of men in black suits walked into the yard. They didn't look like bankers, they looked like debt collectors. The leader sat on the sofa, uninvited. "Richard Sterling?" Dad sweated. "Who are you? We heard you don't like paying debts." Dad pointed at me. "It's her money. Ask her." I dried my hands and calmly pulled out my phone. I started recording. The leader laughed. "Linda Sterling borrowed $300,000 with her husband. Collateral: this house?" Dad turned pale. "What?" "No, it was Sarah's credit card." The man slapped Dad lightly on the cheek. "Credit card?" "No, you signed a high-interest loan agreement online. You and your wife, using your IDs. You bought a car, jewelry, luxury bags. Enjoying life, huh? Pay up, or we take the house." Dad screamed, "You set me up!" He grabbed a baseball bat from the corner, raising it to smash my head in. "Now!" I looked him in the eye. System: final punishment activated. Crash! The bat didn't hit me. Dad suddenly collapsed, clutching his head, screaming as if his skull had been cracked open. Blood trickled from his nose. I rubbed my temple, feigning a headache. Wow, that bat looked heavy. If it hit my face, it would have been bad. System: KPI exceeded by 200%. Reward: another beauty pill. I sighed. Why is it always beauty pills? Linda ran in, seeing the gangsters and her husband on the floor. She screamed, "Murder! Help! Neighbors!" She ran out to the street wailing. The neighbors rushed in. The debt collector calmly showed his phone. "We didn't touch him. He tried to hit his daughter and slipped. We have it on video." I raised my hand. "I recorded it too. Dad tried to kill me." The neighbors laughed. The rich Sterlings were actually broke frauds living on loans? The ambulance came for Dad. The debt collectors left a final notice. "Pay up in 3 days, or we take the house and the car." 3 days later, Dad came back from the hospital. He checked the bank account. The $15,000 I gave him earlier? Gone. He blamed Linda. He beat her until her jaw broke. Kevin tried to intervene. "Dad, I spent the money on streamers." Dad lost his mind. He kicked Kevin in the stomach. Crack. Kevin passed out. Ruptured spleen. I called the ambulance again. I paid for Kevin's surgery. Not out of kindness. I needed him alive. I needed him to grow up and become a lifelong burden to his father. Then, I called 911. Dad was arrested for domestic abuse and assault. He got 4 years in prison. Linda divorced him immediately and ran away with Kevin. Dad lost his wife, his son, his house, and his reputation. And he still owed $300,000 to the loan sharks. I stood on the porch, watching the foreclosure sign go up. My job here was done. Richard Sterling lost everything: no money, no wife, no son, and absolutely no dignity. Even Jenkins, the old man Richard tried to sell me to, didn't show him an ounce of pity. In fact, Jenkins made a series of TikTok videos mocking Richard's downfall, getting millions of views. "Look at this fool. Tried to sell his daughter twice and ended up in jail. Karma is real, folks." I watched the videos and smirked. Jenkins thought he was safe? Before leaving town, I made one last phone call. I reported Jenkins' illegal transportation business, the unregistered tricycle gang, and his tax evasion to the IRS and the local authorities. 2 days later, Jenkins was raided. His assets were frozen, and he was facing federal charges. Now, both the men who tried to ruin my life were behind bars or bankrupt. System notification. Final report generated. Revenge mission complete. Rank: SSS. Perfect kill. System: it has been a pleasure serving you, host. You are truly terrifying. I smiled. Goodbye. I returned to the city where the lights never sleep. Mia was waiting for me at the train station, leaning against her Porsche. She threw a small welcome party for me at our apartment. Just the two of us, expensive wine, and the feeling of absolute victory. Mia swirled her glass. "So, the 2 black cards I gave you, they really fell for it?" I nodded, taking a sip of the red wine. Hook, line, and sinker. Mia laughed. "Those cards, they were a test wrapped in sugar. If they had just a shred of decency, if they hadn't been blinded by greed, they wouldn't have activated the high-interest loans linked to them," I replied calmly. "But you can't show a piece of fatty meat to a starving wolf and expect it not to bite. They thought they were holding the knife, but they were just the meat on the chopping board." Mia sighed. "And Kevin? The kid?" I looked out the window at the city skyline. He survived. I paid his medical bills, but he has a ruptured spleen and a mother who has no money and no skills. He will grow up in poverty, watching his mother blame his father for everything. He will be the living reminder of their failure. Mia looked at me with a mix of admiration and fear. "Sarah, you are ruthless." I smiled, my reflection in the glass looking like a beautiful ghost. "I lost my mother. I was sold like cattle. I was never a good person, Mia." I stood up, my silhouette sharp against the city lights. "I am a survivor, a beast with claws, and once I sink them in, I never let go." The journey ahead is long, and there are still many stories waiting for us. Before we go, please note, this is a fictional story, collected and edited by us for entertainment and educational purposes. Our goal is to foster emotional awareness, empathy, and understanding regarding toxic family dynamics. We have absolutely no intention of promoting hatred, offense, or harm toward any individual or group. The lesson I learned after all of this, and I want you, the listeners of Revenge Rain, to carve into your hearts, is this. You do not owe your abusers forgiveness. You do not owe them your silence, and you certainly do not owe them a second chance just because they share your DNA. Being a good daughter doesn't mean letting people walk all over you. Sometimes the only way to find peace is to burn the bridge while you are still standing on the other side. My father and stepmother thought I was a lamb they could slaughter for profit. They forgot that even lambs grow horns. But what about you? If you were in my shoes, sold by your father, abused by your stepmother, and treated like a curse, would you have gone as far as I did? Would you have used the system to destroy them completely? Or would you have just run away and never looked back? Has anyone here ever had to stand up to a bully in their own family? Did you find justice, or did you have to walk away? Please leave a comment below, share your story and your point of view. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Revenge Rain so you don't miss the next emotional story of karma and justice. Goodbye, and see you next time.